Hey, third graders. Today we are going to keep working on 3NF3C. And our I can statement is, I can compare unit fractions by reasoning about their size using fraction strips. So today is kind of a review day. We're going to continue using fraction strips. I would like to ask you to make sure that you have watched the little intro video. It's very short, but it's just kind of a good way to just review how to compare fractions using fraction bars. So make sure you watch that. The link is on the instructions page. And then just another reminder is that we have been using this online tool, Virtual Fraction Bars. So this is also on the instruction page. You can open up a tab that takes you to a workspace where you can compare fractions. Okay, so if you did not bookmark this yesterday, I would like you to make sure that you open this up today and that you bookmark this, because you can use this for any of the activities we do this week, but you can also use this, as a third grader, as a fourth grader, as a fifth grader, anytime you need to compare fractions. It's a great tool to have on your computer. Today, since this is more of a review day, I am going to give you two options. You can either watch the rest of this video, and then I will be modeling how to do some of the next upcoming slides and then give you some that you can practice on your own. Or if you feel like you could do this without watching the video by using fraction bars and kind of reasoning about the size of fractions on your own, please stop the video now and give them a try. Okay, if you get stuck on something, you can always come back and you can watch this video to figure out how to do it if you need that. But if you feel comfortable with using fraction strips, this is the time where you can stop and just give it a try on your own. All right. So we're going to take a look at the next slide. This slide is going to be what we are going to use today to compare fractions on the upcoming slides. So the first job says, use the seesaw tools to color one fractional unit in each fraction strip. Then you can use this to answer the questions on the next slide. Okay, so if you are working on this, your first job is to just color in one unit of each of these fractions. So I'm going to take my marker tool. I'm going to pick a color. And I'm going to color in one. So I'm coloring in 1/2. Now remember, we talked about how there are only 2 halves in a whole, right? So this is a very big piece because there's only 2 of them to make the whole bar. The next one is 1/4. There are 4 fourths in a whole. So these are a little bit smaller because it takes 4 of them to make the whole. Then we have 8ths. I'm going to have to move this a little bit. Okay, if I color in 1/8, 8ths are really small because it takes 8/8 to make a whole. Let's do orange. All right, 1/3 is pretty big because it only takes 3 of them. So hopefully as you are coloring these in, you're also going to do some noticing about the size of these fractions, right? 1/6, let's take a look. 1/6 is about half the size of a third, exactly half the size of a third, right? It takes 2/6 to make 1/3. All right, so now that we have this, we can use this as a tool and we can look back at it if we need to. Okay, so we're going to do 2 problems together on the next page, and then you're going to do the rest on your own. So we're going to be comparing 1/2 to 1/4. Okay, 1/2 and 1/4. So I'm going to look back over here. So here's 1/2. And then here is 1/4. So now that we have this visual model, we're using these fraction strips, it's really easy to recognize which one is bigger. So which one is bigger, 1/2 or 1/4? Yeah, 1/2. So 1/2 is bigger. And we talked about yesterday when we're using, so 1/2 is greater than, because that means it's bigger than. So I can just circle that. That's all you have to do for this page, okay? So you can use this slide now that we've colored in one of each. You can use this as a tool. Another option is to use your virtual fraction strips. So for the next one, we'll use our virtual fraction strips. All right, so we have 1/6 and 1/2. So we have to compare the size. So we're going to come over here, drag up 1/6 and 1/2. All right. Again, this is a great tool because once you take a look at the sizes, it's really easy to see which one's bigger. So which one's bigger, 1/6 or 1/2? Yeah, 1/2 is bigger. So let's go back over here. So that means if 1/2 is bigger, that means that 1/6 is smaller, right? So this time we have to circle 1/6 is less than 1/2 because less than means the same thing as smaller than, right? So does that make sense? 1/6 is smaller than 1/2. 1/6 is less than 1/2. Let's look right back over here. 1/6 is smaller than 1/2. That does make sense. All right, so you are going to finish this page. Okay, you can use either of the tools to help you with that. All right, on the next slide, it says, or we have a little story to do. Okay, so I want to show you how to do this. And then there's going to be some more stories at the bottom of these slides for you to try on your own. Okay, so it says Lily needs 1/3 cup of oil and 1/4 cup of water to make muffins. Will Lily use more oil or more water? Explain your answer using pictures, numbers, and words. So because I know Seesaw is hard to draw on, I actually found some pictures of measuring cups for you. This one is for the oil, and this one is for the water. Okay, so circle. It says she used 1/3 cup of oil and she used 1/4 cup of water. All right. So first, I'm going to think about thirds. All right. So we're talking about thirds. How would I cut this measuring cup into thirds? Remember that when you're doing fractions, the pieces have to be equal. When I think of thirds, I think of 3 parts, right? So we have to actually break this measuring cup into 3 equal parts. Now, I can't draw my lines this way because we know when you fill up a cup, it goes this way. So I am going to use my marker. I'm going to try my very best to be as equal and fair as possible. Now, I know this isn't perfect, but here's 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. I think it looks pretty good. Actually, I don't like how high I made that second line. I might actually make it down a little bit. There. I think that's a little more even. 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. All right. So for water, it says she used 1/4 of a cup. That means that I have to make 4 equal parts. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you guys something. Whenever you're making equal parts and you're talking about fourths, you know that fourths are going to be half of a half, right? So I'm going to start by cutting this cup in half the best I can. Okay. And then I'm going to cut each of my halves in half. And then that should give me some pretty equal parts. Not perfect, but I'm doing my very best. Okay, so we have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. So here are my pictures, here are my models. Now I'm going to use maybe I'll use a highlighter, and I am going to fill them up, right? So I can't fill in my top one because when you fill up a measuring cup, it's gonna start at the bottom. So if we're talking about 1/3 cup of oil, I'm gonna do like a really light yellow if I can, because oil is kind of a light yellow. I'm gonna fill it up, 1/3 cup of oil. Okay, and then 1/4 cup of water. I'm gonna use like a light blue. I'm gonna color in 1/4. Now, my models are not perfect. They were just my very best shot, but I think if you look very closely, you can tell. It says, will Lily use more oil or more water? If you look, which one looks like it has more? They look very close. I don't know if my fractions are quite equal enough. Yeah, it definitely looks like there's more oil. 1/3, it only takes 3 of these to fill up the cup. It would take 4 of these to fill up the cup. So yes, she used more oil than water. So if I want to explain that, it says to explain it using pictures, which I did, numbers, which I could do, and then words over here. So I am going to use a text box because I like using text boxes. When you do fractions on the computer, it's a little bit tricky. You have to do them going across. So 1-3 stands for 1/3. Okay, and I'm going to use my resizer. I'm going to make it small, and I'm going to label my oil, right? Then I'm going to label my water. You know what? I don't like it right on top. I'm going to put it over to the side. Okay, and then I'm going to do a text box. 1/4 cup of water. I'm going to use my resizer tool. Drag this over here. Okay, because this is going to show anyone who looks at this what my thinking is, right? All right, and then I'm going to make one more text box to explain my thinking over here. So, all right. I drew a picture of how much oil and water Billy used. I cut the cup into 3 equal parts. Remember to use that word equal because that's what fractions are for the oil and 4 equal parts for the water. I colored them in and I could see that she used more oil than water. All right, I'm going to resize this. It's going to take a lot of resizing. I'm going to drag it into my explain my thinking box. I'm going to read it one more time. I drew a picture of how much oil and water Lily used. I cut the cup into 3 equal parts for the oil and 4 equal parts for the water. I colored them in and I could see that she used more oil than water. All right. If you take a look at the next couple of slides, you'll notice that your job is going to be to do more of what we did together. Okay. And do your very best work and try to show me your thinking if you can. You can use your fraction bars as a model that you color in, or you can use the fraction strips on the fraction strip virtual website. So whatever's easier for you, good luck and have fun. Bye.